there's one key enabler that we've touched base with, but really not taken into account. And I think it really relates to the challenge even Margot is facing in terms of how do you bring a disparate set of customer data together because they're sitting on different platforms and different capabilities, and that is loyalty. I think a lot of people, and again, Anil, we'll start with you, have started on the journey of loyalty. You specifically talked about how you've used the loyalty programs and the data that it generates and so on and so forth. But as you've seen in the survey and the white paper release we'll make, that one of the verticals that's the least developed across Southeast Asia, and in fact across the globe, is that people do have loyalty programs, but actually the maturity is still at the incubation stage. I'll ask you, Anil, first. What is stopping them? What are the key challenges? Margot, who's in the process of building one, would really put some insight to it. 2 minutes on this topic would be great to understand. Anil?
Yeah, I'll speak more from the perspective of established organizations. Like Margot was saying, you have legacy systems and there are certain legacy processes as well. So there are both. There's a legacy system and there's a legacy process. That's where the new age technologies like Capillary and some others, they come into the picture. So they don't look at the system, they look at what the system is producing. Right. So I work with, even within the group in Southeast Asia, we have done a cloud-based system with Microsoft for our retail transactions. Right? And in the Middle East and in India, we use disparate systems. Somewhere we'd use Oracle, IBM's, and whatnot. Right? So somebody like Capillary, they would come up and say, okay, where is your data looking like? Doesn't matter what format it is in. And then you structure that format into readable, easily user-defined modules. Right? And this sits on cloud again. Right? Of course, you can choose to make it on-site as well, but the cloud obviously is omnipresent, and hence it's easier to go to cloud. Right? And from there, everybody can access that information and start working collectively on that information within the organization. Right? So legacy systems, legacy processes are no limitation to moving into database customer engagement. Then subsequent to that, then a structural approach to that customer engagement, which is in a lot of companies, it's called campaign management, but one has to go a little more deeper into what is this consumer obviously absorbing, consuming, what time are they absorbing this information, how are they absorbing this information. That insight comes because now, again, sorry, I'm talking about Capillary a little bit, obviously it's more relevant here. If they have 400 companies that they've worked with, their collective understanding and experience to cross-pollinate this information and give it a structure. And somebody like BCG comes and says, globally, I've worked across industries, not just customers. Right? And they say, okay, listen, this is how consumers behave in different environments, different timing, different consuming patterns and behavior. Then you can develop these programs that engage. Today, the customer, just throwing a discount at the customer, maybe once or twice they'll get interested, but the third time you get turned away because there are 100 messages hitting the customer at any point of time. And hence trying to figure out, like, for example, will my customer be happy to go to a movie? Will they want to be the first one to know the next football match? So everything is virtual there, right? And this data, developing this engagement with the customer, then can move very seamlessly into our web store. We just recently launched a web store. On the one side, I'm very happy to say, because while we were piloting, my entire sales practically had come from the database that has come out of the physical stores. Now, the moment the MCO was, the moment the restrictions in Malaysia were shut and stores were open, my stores are pumping. We are like crazy 200% growth over the previous year. Crazy. I mean, it's just not, I don't even mention these numbers because people wouldn't believe. But certainly the customer is finding engagement, right? Then the third part of it, right, where you really bring experience online is again through data, right? Now you have a web store, yeah, brilliant. And you can put in a video engagement there. You can put in a store experience there. So your customer service executive or a sales staff executive at the store, they become virtually engaged with the customer. So you're seamlessly moving the customer by holding the data. You don't see them physically. We have customers, 40% of our customers are from areas where we don't have any stores right now in Southeast Asia. Right. So, but they are feeling a fair amount of engagement. They are feeling fair amount of connection and trust. Now, fortunately, what happens with that kind of connection, trust builds, right? So I'm trying to blend these how data can work in building the trust and not just stay at a opportunistic transactional behavior. So we don't need to worry about legacy systems, legacy processes. We just need to engage new age technology, which will integrate what comes out of those systems and processes and converts that into an opportunity. And hence we were able to move so nimbly. By the way, we launched an entire database module during COVID restrictions. Nobody had traveled anywhere. We launched in Malaysia, we launched in Indonesia.
Fantastic. Thanks, Anil. Margot, quick comments on your side?
You have being in a nascent stage, and Anil has a valid point about the legacy processes. It's quite a challenge to move the whole organization, all at the same time. And you'll probably need to start with, how should I say, more progressive thinkers. I mean, because I haven't even touched on supply chain, right? Which is like another whole set of data, which is all connected to how we especially relate to the customer. I wish I could have a business like Anil where even if we don't have a store, we can deliver. We can't because we need to cook the food and it has to be close by. So I think there are also nuances when it comes to what kind of company you are. The advantage of McDonald's and perhaps even Anil's business is we control the distribution point, right? We own it. There are brands like fast-moving consumer goods who need to be in a distribution point that they do not control. So it's such a new concept for them now to own a distribution point and control that, in the virtual space. Or they could choose to go to your usual Lazadas and again, place your product in a distribution point you don't own. But that's an advantage though. We were able to control that distribution point, whether online, offline, and then manage the data and the movement. But, you're with legacy processes, legacy systems. You're also with, you need to do a lot of upskilling in terms of the human resource.